Hi, everyone. This is Diana Ramirez presenting to you today a segment on HITRUST. I have Bill Ahrens joining me today on this conversation. Hi, Bill. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Diana. Thanks for having me.
So let's get to it. What is HITRUST?
Well, HITRUST is a risk and compliance framework that, unlike other frameworks, it harmonizes over 40 globally recognized regulations, including HIPAA, NIST, ISO, PCI, and GDPR, as well as numerous state requirements such as CCPA and New York's DFS.
Wow, that's a lot. That's awesome. So why does HITRUST matter?
Well, cybersecurity and regulatory compliance are now even more critical within the healthcare and financial industries. As organizations depend more and more on technology to support their digital transformations. Also, there are increasing number of breaches and ransomware attacks across all industries, but lately there's been a greater focus on healthcare organizations. Breaches hurt the organization's reputation, they're costly, and of course, they impact negatively on the patients.
That indeed it does. So tell us a little bit about the advantages of HITRUST.
Well, in contrast to typical HIPAA audit tools, HITRUST is a prescriptive and certifiable risk and compliance framework. It provides prescriptive guidance. It's applicable across all industries. It's globally recognized. It harmonizes a wide range of regulatory needs and streamlines the risk management and compliance process.
Wow. So this is optimal for those in healthcare technology, compliance officers, privacy officers, management, leadership, everyone, right? Everyone should get to it. Wow. Excellent. So how can someone reach out to you and learn more about HITRUST and this framework?
Well, I can be reached on LinkedIn or via email at william.ahrens@mazarsusa.com.
Wow. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and this information.
Thanks for having me, Diana.
Thanks. In our first segment, we talked about HITRUST as a framework to protect data. Let us talk about ransomware and how to prevent and mitigate these cyber impacts to organizations.
Well, Diana, you've raised a hot topic to talk about on this segment. Let me first begin by describing what ransomware is. It's a type of malware that blocks access to key corporate data by encrypting it. Then the criminals demand that the ransom be paid before they will provide the decryption keys to unlock the victim's data. Unfortunately, as we know, paying the ransom doesn't necessarily guarantee in all cases a safe return of that data. Ransomware is rapidly evolving. As companies have gone increasingly digital, cyber criminals have sought to maximize their profits by exploiting the vulnerabilities that come with an expanding ecosystem. Currently, healthcare organizations are heavily targeted, and ransomware adversaries are quickly adopting new and evolving data extortion methods. One such technique is called double extortion, which involves first stealing the confidential data and then encrypting it. And if the victim doesn't pay the ransom at first, the criminals expose a portion of the stolen data and then threaten to expose the remainder unless the ransom is paid.
That is a shame. I do hear of these unfortunate ransomware attacks daily and on healthcare organizations and non-healthcare organizations. When I review these reports or these articles, it really comes down to basically their security setup. I mean, certainly prevention and mitigation are key, but it's the setup, correct?
Diana, I agree. And there are several key steps companies can take to prevent or at least reduce the severity of ransomware attacks. First and foremost is to maintain offline encrypted backups of the data and ensure that they're regularly tested. It goes without saying that backups are useless if you can't restore files from them. Other preventative steps include regular vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, updating and patching of all software and firmware, hardening systems, conducting end user awareness and training programs, implementing strong spam filters, and employing multi-factor authentication, just to name a few. In addition, every organization needs to conduct regular tests of its incident response and disaster recovery plans. The current thinking is not if, but when an organization will experience a breach. So a zero trust architecture approach and well-rehearsed incident response and disaster recovery plans will significantly mitigate the impact of ransomware as well as other types of cyber attacks.
Well, Bill, I definitely agree with you on all this huge list of things that we have to do to protect data. But Bill, how can HITRUST help prevent these ransomware attacks?
Good question. So organizations first need to ensure that their security controls are properly configured and tested in order to achieve the desired security level. So by using the HITRUST approach, which, as you know, is one of the leading information risk management frameworks, is prescriptive in nature and incorporates all the necessary components to provide an organization with the needed confidence that its security controls are operating effectively and that they're as prepared as possible for a ransomware incident. A HITRUST assessment offers organizations the reliability and resilience foundation needed in these times of escalating cyber risk.
Let us talk about third-party risk management. As we both know, organizations that outsource to third-party vendors or service providers should have processes for analyzing and controlling risk. Otherwise, the organizations can be exposed to supply chain attacks, data breaches, and reputational damage. So, how big is this problem, Bill?
Well, Diana, you picked another great topic to discuss today, and your points are truly relevant given the current state of cyber risk. In addition to addressing third-party risks, organizations need to focus on all the associated downstream subcontracting and outsourcing arrangements they have, meaning they need to be cognizant of fourth-party risks as well. An organization's supply chain can be quite extensive, encompassing a significant number of vendors, and a breach anywhere in that chain can have a harmful impact upstream. This is particularly important for high-risk vendors who process sensitive data, including personal information and intellectual property. You know, according to recent studies, over 80% of respondents understand and recognize third-party risks threatening their organizations, but only about half actually prioritize those risks, even though a significant number of them share critical and sensitive data with their third parties. The best known recent examples of how third-party risk can inflict damage throughout the multiplier effect are, of course, SolarWinds and Kaseya. In both those cases, criminals were able to breach the vendor's cyber defenses and upload malware into the vendor's base code. So when SolarWinds and Kaseya then issued software updates to their clients, the malware was unfortunately likewise distributed. So by attacking only these two companies, the criminals were able to infect thousands of organizations, hence the multiplier effect.
Wow. Bill, again, these are unfortunate events. So what are some ways in which organizations can help protect themselves and their critical data against third-party risk?
Well, there's no single solution to address software supply chain risks, but there are several key strategic practices they can do. First, establishing a formal supply chain risk management program that's integrated across the enterprise. Knowing and managing your critical suppliers and closely collaborating with them. So for example, clearly defining security roles and responsibilities for each of your third parties to mitigate any gaps in compliance or controls. Then utilizing third-party assessments, site visits, formal certifications, and the like to assess your critical suppliers. Ensuring security requirements are propagated to your suppliers' sub-suppliers as a way to address fourth-party risk. And finally, recognizing that a trusted business partner doesn't necessarily imply a secure business partner.
Wow, these are excellent points, Bill. So how can HITRUST help third-party organizations mitigate risk?
Well, organizations need to ensure that their security controls of their third parties are properly configured and tested in order to provide the protections and security levels appropriate to the organization. The HITRUST framework and associated tools offer one of the most robust ways organizations can obtain those assurances, while enabling the third parties to efficiently share their assessment results.
Thank you, Bill. This is wonderful information on third-party risk, and we hope the organizations find this valuable as well.
Well, Diana, as always, thanks for having me.
Excellent. For more information on third-party risk management, compliance, and high trust efforts, you can contact me, Diana Ramirez, or Bill Ahrens. Thank you all for watching.